Okay, this is part 2 of making Waterloo goods station in Gmax for Trains Rail Sim. And in part 1 you'll have seen how I put in this map just on a plane to give me the track plan and the proportions of the goods shed, and I used a vertical view on Google Earth to identify the modern situation, which included finding the wall along Oil Street, which is still there now. It's obviously the cut down wall of, here we are, here's that aerial photograph. It's the cut down wall, I believe. I think this is Oil Street here, heading up to the road, joining that road there, and that's the modern road there, which has now got Waterloo goods written on the side, and there's the entrance tunnel for the railway going up to Edge Hill. And the road here was on a bridge, which you can see from some of the photographs taken from this part of Waterloo goods looking towards the station throat. And this road is on a rise, and we can see that from the wall. This is the modern screenshot from Google Earth, and you can see it's on a rise. You see how the brickwork rises here, which is all very well. It's nice to have the information, but it's not really going to be practical for us in trains, where trains has a lot of problems dealing with vertical changes. Splines, although you can raise them, the distortion is pretty bad, and generally the trains, although it appears to be 3D, is sort of 2D and a half is what I found. For example, you can't stack attachment points vertically. I found all sorts of attachment points for splines. You can't do it vertically. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make Waterloo goods without that rise. You can see there's a rise in the roof pitches. Those aren't just sections across. If we go in a bit, those aren't just sections, they are rising. And there it's very obvious. Look, you can see the rise along the side. This is one of the 2 photographs I've got that I can use. So we're going to compromise. We're going to make it flat. It's not going to rise. It's going to be, if we put a road in there, it's going to conceal some of the wall as it climbs up to meet that road there, which will be determined by the bridge. If we put the bridge in there, we can always put a descent for the road to come down a bit to make this gradient less severe. So that's going to be all on the level. That's the only way I think I can do it. What I will do is I'll bring in these ridges as if they were sections of roof. We've got another photograph here bringing it in, so a little bit more information here. We've got plenty of glazed sections for the roofs, so we can actually look inside the goods station, and here we've got a lot of little windows. Now I'm going to deal with those as when I come to the roofs. Okay, so that's what we're left with. Always a compromise, I've found. There's so many things that we have to compromise. Now I've made some textures, and so I'm just going to create those, and the first one is going to be brickwork. There we go, and make sure it's visible, and the TGA file should be in here. Waterloo goods, come along, there we are, TGA. What we want is this to be sorted by type. So come down here, there we are, and old bricks, that's what I've called it. And this is an edited version of a free download texture download. And then we want blue brickwork because it's engineer blue bricks, and let's just find that down the bottom, blue bricks, there they are. And then something I called pillar brickwork. What I'm going to do in this session is create the side wall. I'm going to create it as if it was level. So unfortunately I can't include those really nice curved pieces. I'll show you what I mean. I can't include those because those are the ones that allow the water rise, keeping a consistent depth for these blue bricks. That's from the previous rise, and these cut stone sections, and this is setback brickwork here, and so that's going to be the blue bricks, that's going to be stonework, and that's the pillar bricks, and those are the old bricks. But I shall use those as making another one here called stonework. I'll use those as guides for the sides of the goods depot, even though they'll be level. There we are. So there's that. Okay. So I'm just going to make a section of wall, and if it works well, then I shall make it for the full length along. There's Waterloo Road along Oil Street, which goes up here. Okay, so I'm assuming, let's just make sure we've got our units. Yup. I do prefer the decimal and the grid and snap settings, home grid spacing. I like that to be 1 feet. There we are. So now I know that I've got that's 10 foot, and that's 20 foot, and I just want to make sure I've got this, yes, is at -1 foot, and this one I'm going to set it to -6 inches, so it's below ground level, or the 3 coordinates. Okay, so it's going to be 20 foot high, this wall. And if we look again at this, just keep reminding ourselves, well, counting brick courses and estimating the brick sizes, this height from about here to here, so this part, is about 4'6", and this is about another 1'3", and then I've got the same width for the stonework, and then we've got the pillar. And I'm just going to butt the stonework against it. So if I say 4'6" and 1'3", 5'9". So the first thing I'm going to do is make I'm going to work in splines. So it's just going to be 5'9", and I think the pillar width, I worked it out at about 5'3". So in other words, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this bit here as a square, just to start me off. So I'm going to make it 5'9" high and 5'3" wide, and that means to get it to its correct position, make sure we've centered, and 5'3" divided by 2 is 2'6" and 4.5", 2'10.5". I wasn't very good at maths. And let's just center that, make sure it's centered. We're going to work with that. Okay. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'll hide both of those bits out of the way because I don't want to be mucking them about. So there we are. So there's that piece. And I'm going to extrude it. This may all change as I'm going to turn it into an editable spline, and I'm going to extrude it. And the amount I'm going to extrude it is the depth, that depth there, which I think the brick wall would have been about about 1 foot wide. Bricks were what? They were about 4.5 inches at this time when this was made, about 4.5 inches deep. So they're about 9 by 2.5, 2 3/4, and then about 4.5. So I'm going to say that that's 1 foot deep there. So this, I think, is about 4'8". Sorry, is about 1'8". from there, from the back of this wall to the front of this bit here. Okay, so going back into this, I'm going to extrude it 1'8". And my next step is to, let's have a look at it. Okay, let's make sure we can see we're in wireframe. Okay, 1'8". And I'm going to have a piece which is, I'm going to make this piece now. And to do that, I'm going to use another rectangle. This was what? This was 5'3". I should have just cloned the other one, shouldn't I? It's going to be 5'3", and it's going to be 1'8". And let's get it centered up. Make sure it's centered in itself, and let's center it up. And here. Okay, so it's centered on that piece. Well, let's center it on here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this, because I extruded it, the center was back with the original spline face, so I'm going to just bring that back to there. Okay, so let's have a look. Where are we on our rectangle? It's rectangle 3, isn't it? Green, isn't it? It covered green. So let's put that up to 5'9". Where are we? 5'9". Take it to the top, and I'm just going to clone it, holding the shift key down. Discovered that only about 2 years ago. And before I do anything else with it, I'm going to change the corner radius here. I'm going to push that up until we get a really nice corner. What I'm looking to do is to reproduce this curve, engineer's brick curve. It's probably a bit strong, 5 inches. It goes up in strange increments. Take it down to 5 inches, that'll be enough. And then now I'll turn this into an editable spline, and I'm going to remove some splines, some segments, because I don't need them. And then I'm just going to clone this again, and did I clone it? Too quick by half. No, I didn't. Let's do it this way. And center it up. Okay, this might seem to you like going round the world for a shortcut, but it's the way I try to work as methodically as possible. I've positioned that already, but there you go. So let's zoom right in and position it up, and then let's attach the other one. Let's do the vertices. Take off attach. Just want to weld. Again, when you load up the train's front end for this, you get some really bizarre defaults. I mean, it's a 4-inch for welding, just under. It's ridiculous. It's far too much. Okay. Well, first problem, of course, is that it's not deep enough, so I'm going to have to move it anyway. So let's just get it back onto there. Just do this by eye. I could have done this in a better way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up that other green one and hide it. So I want this one to go on top of to know that I'm exactly over the blue. And I'm just going to do that by eye. There we are. And ditto with the vertices at the back here. Give me the depth. I'll just take this right in. And the lower part was 5'9" tall. So this one is going to take it up to 20 feet. which is 14'3". So that's what I'm going to extrude it at, 14'3". Okay, so that looks reasonably alright. Does it look pretty much how that looks? Well, that's actually wider, because it's overhanging the stone there. So I'm not right. And that, what's crossing my mind there, how is that going to marry up to that? Otherwise, if I don't have that curved piece extending beyond here, then the curved piece will leave a piece of a horizontal surface on that corner just there and this block. I don't want that. So let me just delete extrude. We can come back to that, and I'm just going to do it by it's just got to be, if I take these vertices and they need to come down, they need to come down to that, this one here needs to come down to here, and it will take the others with it, and the stonework will tuck underneath. So let's just see if we can get that a bit more precise. Yeah, no, not quite. So I'm on the maximum zoom in. Okay, do we get a position for that? These, no. Never mind. And we do the same here. Now, one of the other things I measured while I was in Google Earth looking at this wall, and the reason why it's important, this wall, is because I'm going to use it throughout the depot as a way of recreating something of the, and I'm going to put the extrude back in. There we are. Now if we look down in here, yeah, so what I'm aiming to do is for this wall to recreate something of the look of Waterloo goods. Now if we look here again, let's check what we're doing. Actually what I can do is I can just make this, I can reduce this block here, instead of coming from the ground up, make it 5'9", I can make it 1'3", and that will just be that bit there, because then I'm going to tuck this in here. So let's just alter this, edit the mesh, pick up those vertices, make sure you've got there, and move it up to 4'6". There we are. And of course it looks in different proportion to the photograph of the wall, because this is going up to the full 20 feet and that wall has been chopped down. And I know that there are 40 foot, this is at a 40 foot centre for this lower part of the wall here. Remember, I'm not going to be doing this, it's just going to be straight along. So the next thing I'm going to do is put in a, let's just make sure we've got the depth. Yeah. I'm going to put in a, this can just be a box. We want it 40 foot long at this stage anyway, and we want the height needs to be 4'6", and the depth needs to be, well, it's not far off actually, it's got to be the full depth, and I think I put the full depth in, but I forget these things as I go. Oops, let's just move that over a bit. Yeah, it's 1'9", isn't it? So that's just a tad too thin. Even that's not right. Don't think. Anyway, let's move this into position. Here, let's have another look here. I think it's 1'8". Looks right to me now. Let's just zoom in. Okay, and what else have we got there? We've got a few inches to centre that up. And what I want to do is just make sure that that is correctly centered, because I want a nice smooth join between the pink and the blue there as I go when I apply the texture. So let's make sure everything is centered to the object there. I don't think the lower box was, so let's just center that on that one. Okay, so we're there, and now I'm going to do the same again with this box, but this time instead of 1'8", let's just have a look here. I'm now going to do this bit of wall, which means it's going to be that little bit, just that piece there, the depth there, to set that back. You'll notice here, I think that this brick pillar extends further over, and that there was probably the same design on the inside, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it smooth on the inside. Otherwise, just going to make that a foot. That was silly, wasn't it? It wasn't a clone. So otherwise it's just going to push the polys up unnecessarily. The interior is going to be more sort of I think that needs to be 4 inches just to line up, and let's just move it up a bit, raise it from 2'3". It's got to be 4'6" from 4'6" from 20 feet is 15'6". And it's got to go up like that, and that should mean 6'8". And let's have a look and see if the shape of it is right. There's enough of that curve showing. Let's compare it back with the wall. It's that bit there. I think I want more than that. I think I want it about, let's take 2 inches. Take the width down to 10 feet. Make sure it's lined up. It's not, of course. Let's give it a different colour as well, just to identify it. The reason why I'm spending time getting this as it should be is because once I've got this, does that look right? That looks like it should be 5. Once I've got this, then it's going to be reproduced all the way around the depot. So I won't leave it as a collection of individual meshes like this. I will trim it down quite a bit. Okay, so now let's see if we've got anything like, well, there is one other part as well that I need to do, which is the stone piece, which is going to go in there. But we'll come back to that. First of all, let's put the ordinary brickwork, apply the ordinary brickwork on. Okay, and to me that looks like it's certainly stretcher bond in as much as the bricks are stretched. It's not, of course, stretcher bond. This is, I think, it's not Flemish bond. I'm trying to think what the bonding is on that. But anyway, it's repeated twice on a 40-foot section. It's really handy to have blue brickwork, to have a standard repetition of the brickwork. This one is a smaller texture as it happens, so I'm going to put 4 of those in just to try that, and I don't think it's anywhere near right. No, it's still far too stretched, and also, of course, there's too many there, so let's put 6 in. I want about the length of the brick. I'm watching it, the length of the brick here, that's 6. And I think up the top here, and I actually know that I need to have 21 courses of engineer's brick. I counted them. So let's go right in and count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, up to there. So this is too big, and because it's got to match this. So I'm going to make this, and those bricks are too long. So let's try 7 repeats. This you just got to do it by eye until you're happy with the look of the bricks. I think they're about okay now, and I think they should be fine at that. So the next thing to do will be to bring this one, which is just 2 repeats at the moment, bring it into line with this. So the end ones here, if I make that 4, okay, and I've then got to increase the vertical layers of bricks, and let's have a look. I think they're about right, and I think I need to, let's just go back here and take that up to 2. If I just look, I think that's too many. If I look here, I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I'm going to try and copy. And at the moment I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it looks like 5. Let's have a look there. So then you realise that the determining factor is actually this block, and this block needs to have the blue bricks, and what I need here is to select various faces, and because it's on the curve and I want to keep, it's not on the curve, is it? That's going to be partly concealed by the stone, isn't it? Yes, there, look, seems to sort of fudge into the bricks there. So actually it's a lot easier. So it's that face there. I forgot I was going to have to do the wrap round, and I want to, first of all I'm going to planar that, and I'm going to bring it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brick courses. I'm going to lift that up a little bit. That's where the, so we've got 5 brick courses there, which means that this is too, there's too many brick courses here. That's going to determine what our bricks look like. So let's do this one again. There's too many courses. So although I've counted out 21, the texture isn't going to work for me like that. So I'm just going to go with what looks right. So I'm going to take a couple of courses out. How are we doing? I think we're about there. If we look at the texturing here, let's just increase that one. Go in here, and we want to try and match these up. So we've got stretchers against stretchers, which I don't think is the way on the wall. No, you see you've got the end on bricks there, and you've got them crossways there. So we need to move this whole thing. Let's zoom in again. And move the whole thing. Let's see where we got next. Oh, that's strong. We've got many cross pieces on this one, don't we? Well, that's okay. I can actually drop it down because this is a seamless texture, so it'll just wrap up from the bottom. And let's just go in and have a look, because I know there are some. We've got any end on? I don't think we have. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to accurately reproduce that, so I'm going to go for what looks good. I think that looks okay. It's going to create the effect. Okay, so now we have our engineer's brick pretty much sorted. There we are. Doesn't look too bad. Back and forth to get rid of any errant lines. And we've just got to sort this one out now, this face. There's too many horizontally and too many vertically. So let's edit that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So that's no good. So let's take that down to 1.75 as a guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take it down to 1.5. It's not bad. But also we need to increase the length of those bricks. That means fewer repeats. 3.5. 3. Just about what I'm doing is I'm comparing the size of these bricks here to these bricks here. And I think I'm just about there. And then all I need to do is then adjust this slightly so as to bring 5 courses. Let's zoom in so I can do it a bit more carefully. Just bring 5 courses in. I think that'll be alright. Might need to change that. But let's have a look in perspective view how we're doing. Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. Actually, this part here is going to be concealed by the stonework when I do that. But it's the way I can use it to measure this, which I can then carry on to this. And let's have a look. Let's do this one next. And this is going to use pillar brickwork. And you'll see the the texture very clearly shortly. But first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this bit of mesh. I want to remove the rear face. Just make sure I pick that up. Yeah. And I think I want to remove the top and the bottom, the reasons for which will become clear. Okay, that leaves just the faces which are going to be visible. In fact, actually more than that, because it's going to be hidden by that brickwork. If I put the smooth and highlights on, you'll see I've got the top of that wall now just showing there. So now if I put the unwrap on and I select face, then I can just go like that, and I've selected all the ones that I want to show. And that's what the texture looks like. So what I've done is I've used some of the engineer's bricks and some of that other brick to create this, what's going to go in there. But you'll see obviously that there is much more engineer's brick than I need. But I did that because I wanted to keep that a little bit flexible. So if we're going to planar that, let's just see what we've got. Okay, and first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this in proportion. I'm going to bring that in quite a bit. I'm not convinced that this is going to work properly, but I shall give it a go. Okay, now that's the face that's going to be at the front. It's about 1.5 bricks. And those are the ones that are going to wrap round. Not worried about the vertical distortion yet. That'll come. Select that face again. Let's just go in and have a look. It's about 1.5 bricks. It's a brick's width. I know this seems pedantry beyond belief, but once you've done this and you've got the pillars sorted, then repeating it is going to be very straightforward around the whole of the depot. So now what I'm going to do is really what I need is a count of the number of brick courses to the top. So, and it's brick courses of this brick face here, which is a lot. Because remember, it's not just the wall, I'm now going for the full height. That wall is the cut down version. So just bear with me a moment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. 20 is those bricks there. And now 20, 21, 22, 23, 26, 40, is that one there? 40 is there. 1, 2, 3, 50, 54. Okay, now let's have a look what we've got here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so let's have a look at all of those. Let's select. So it's 10 courses, and it's got to be 54 courses, so I make that 5.4. And what immediately I see is that the quality of the texture is nowhere near as good as this. So we're going to have to think about that. I may need to remake that texture as a sharper, higher definition texture. It is quite a small texture at the moment. Okay, yeah, see, because the colour between there and there is not the same at all. They're also spread a bit. So I think that actually if I just take that back and I bring it in a little more, and then I'll make that 5.4 again. Those bricks, not too bad. You can see the wraparound isn't all together as I would like. No, it's smeared. It's not been nicely done. So I'm going to have to rework that, certainly. And that means individually altering the position of each of these in the texture, altering the individual position of these ones here. But I'm going to take this as far as I'm going to take this video today. And just wanted to show you the wall again, give you the example. So that's my inspiration, and that's where I'm getting to. And I've still got the stone to bring in, and then I can tidy up these. What I may do actually is I may reduce the quality of these two, because that will then reduce the hit on the graphics cards. So I'd much rather have these looking like these here than to try and work this up into a much more sharp, detailed texture, because it just loads, it just makes them for a massive model, which isn't necessary. Also, I've got such repetition here on this texture. I need to address that. I need to lose that by making these much more uniform. So there we are. That's just getting the wall around Waterloo Goods underway. Let's make sure we save it. And save as Waterloo Goods. There we are, 1.1. There it is, putting it away. And that's as far as I'll take the tutorial today, or this video today. So if you have any questions, queries or comments, please do post them. If you have any, please do subscribe to my channel, and if you have any suggestions for other aspects of the Liverpool Overhead Railway, then please do post them.